Alright, so we're back and we're ready to start building the BeetleBot. Three things that we noticed right away. Here's our manual. They had an insert. Looks like there's a mistake in the manual, which is nice. They actually let us know. And we have our screwdriver. If we open up the manual, they start off with some basic stuff. So they just talk about the contents, which we've already gone over. A brief history on the BeetleBot, which was made by a high school student, and basically to find a way to get complex robot behavior with minimalistic and simple parts, nothing complex. They start off by giving you some basics on how to use a screwdriver. So this is definitely something introductory. If you've never worked with robotics, if you're in high school, junior high, elementary school, and you want to get started with something simple, this might be the kit for you. So we're going to start off with step one. So step one says, let's prepare the laser cut base plates. So I'm just going to move some of these things out of the way. The laser cut base plates are these guys here that we talked about earlier. So let's see here. So basically what they're saying is check the base plates for any small pieces that might not have cleared out. I'm going to check that out here. I see nothing here that should have been cleared out. Let's check this one here. All the pieces are out. Yep, everything that's cut. Sometimes what happens is that these boards, when they're cut, some of the little pieces stay in the holes or don't get popped out. So this step is just kind of to make sure that all that stuff is popped out. Also, another thing to notice about this particular piece is that there's no difference between the bottom and the top part. The one thing you do want to do is that it does have a protective mask to keep it from scratching up during shipping. So we're going to go ahead and take that off. What we normally try to do is just start off by one of the edges, and it's sometimes a little tricky. And if you can't do that, then you want to kind of find a spot that's bubbled up or just start in the middle, and then it just comes right off. And it's on there real tight, so you're going to have to... There you go. What's nice about this is that it's shiny pieces. It looks really nice once you take off the protective coating. And there's one side that doesn't look like it has anything, but sure enough it does. Just take your nail, you can kind of peel into it in the center if you want. I wouldn't try to don't try to use a screwdriver because you might scratch your base. So you want to try to keep this in aesthetically pleasing, at least for a little while, until it starts bumping into everything and falling off the table while you're running your tests. Okay, so let's throw that out. Alright, so that's ready, and this step doesn't even talk about this part, so let's just move on. It only talks about this one here. Okay, so next step is, it says that we're going to go ahead and install the antennas. So the antennas are actually going to get installed in this piece. So what I'm going to do is, we have another piece here that has some covering. So before I skip on to step 2, let me take off this covering here. Get on the back. One part. Let me just kind of double check this one here. Yeah, this doesn't look like it was meant to come off. So we're going to keep that on for now. If we see a picture later on that says to take it off, then we will take it off. Okay, so let's just put these aside. We're going to take out our screwdriver. We're going to take the antennas. So these two here, and then these will be mounted. Let's see, how are these going to be mounted? So it looks like, let's see. Okay, so they'll be mounted something like this, crisscrossing over each other, something like that. So we're going to need to take out some of the screws here. So we're going to take out two of the 56 by 3/8 screws. So just like my other kits, let's go ahead and separate some of this stuff. So we have 2 long ones, 3 long ones, and the rest are all the same. Do we have any other screws here? Anything else that we should be looking at? Nope, no other screws, so we're good to go. Now, let's just see how we're going to take care of this. So, basically these need to be mounted. There's a little spring here, or a little bend there that's going to go into the ridge, or the hole that's here. Sure enough, there it is. Now I wonder if we need some kind of a nut before we screwing into something, but it does not look like it. So, we're going to go ahead and screw this one in directly. Alright, so we've got one there. Let's zoom in a little here so you can get a closer look at what we're doing. I'm going to put the other one in here. Okay, so you've gone ahead and they're pretty flexible, so there's nothing to it.
So you can see the underbelly. Okay. Now we're done with step 2. Now let's move on to step 3, which is basically the switch installations. Now, switch installations. What we're going to be doing is we're laying the switches in behind each antenna. So sure enough, when this starts moving like this, it's going to hit one of the switches. The way that they're going to be laid in is right here on either side, and they actually will bend forward and backwards like that, and they'll actually trigger the switch. So we have this other bag where the motors are located. We're going to go ahead and just kind of empty this out. We have cables, we have 2 small DC motors, we have some double-sided tape, we have a couple things there, switch, and here are these switches. Nothing fancy, you just tick-tock, and they go ahead and they go on and off, and they have some holes there. So it looks like we're going to be mounting them there, so let's just take a look at this here. Okay, sure enough, that's what we said. We're going to go kind of there. We're going to mount. Now it looks like we're going to have to go from underneath. And the hard part about this is to make sure that we put it through the right holes. So I'm just going to kind of feed it through one of these real quick here and see how this goes. Okay, so when you feed 2 of these screws in from the bottom, and then see, do these fit nicely there? Sure enough, they do. I want to make sure that the screw's in all the way. And we're good to go with one switch here. Now I'm just giving it a test. And this appears to be working as expected. You should be able to see it clicking. As you can see there. Okay, so that's one set. Let's go ahead and get the next set of screws in place.
Okay, and test that one out. Sure enough, they're both working as expected. And so again, remember, while this moves around, it'll bounce back, do something, bounce back, and go on and go on. So that's about it. Now know that these are, pieces of metal, so they might be holding down the clicker too long or whatnot. So you probably want to make sure that they don't get stuck there and they're unclicked. Okay, so that completes step 3. Very simple. Now we move on here.
Step 4 basically just says, let's mount the battery packs. So on step 4, we're going to flip it upside down where these switches are. That's what I'm going to call it right now. These switches at the top and the upside down part will be here. So this says to go ahead and mount the cables. Sorry, mount the battery packs that we have here. Okay. So how are these going to go? Alright. So there's battery leads on the bottom of this. These two. And there are 4 holes back here.